Right, so as we teased at the end of the last episode, this episode is all about fitting this to that. Right, just quickly throwing it in just to make sure everything fits. So this is a 6-point harness, so you have 2 shoulder straps which go to the roll cage. You have the 2 lap belts which will go to bolts down here, and then you have 2, it looks like 1 but it is actually 2 anti-submarining belts which go through the gap in the seat and they will attach under the seat. I went for 6-point just for the anti-submarining belts, because with a 4-point you can theoretically slide out of these, and I'd rather not have that happen. But if you are doing this, make sure you are confident in your abilities to do it once you remove the manufacturer's safety equipment, because lots of bad things can happen if you do this wrong, and there are lots of let's say local guidance, depending on which country you're in. Your motorsport body probably has a page similar to what I'm going to throw up on screen now, which covers all the angles that these belts should be in. Like, these belts must never be above the shoulder, they should be parallel or below to an extent. These ones need to be at a certain angle, these ones need to be at a certain angle and a certain distance apart, so make sure you follow that guidance. So yeah, just tidy this up so you can see how it is. It's sort of hidden under these bits because I've not adjusted it right. But again, this is not a normal road seatbelt. I've still got the road one installed, but that will be disappearing. And then to exit this, you can do that and it all comes apart. So, how do we install this? Because it's not a normal seatbelt jobby. You need these eye bolts, and if you're clever, unlike me, you will find the right size ones that can go back in the normal seatbelt mounting points, because these are strengthened. I bought the wrong size ones. These are 7/16 Imperial and I needed some metric ones. I knew some of them wouldn't fit in because obviously you only have one of those on this side, so I got some plates that you should weld in underneath the car if you want to be Motorsport UK Blue Book compliant, but they can just function sandwiched up and tightened. Welding will get you through to like race scrutineering, but for everything else it's fine as is. You can just tack weld them on, it's fine. So we'll be drilling a hole around here somewhere on this side, down here, put the plate on the bottom, bolt through, and then these clip into that. You can get ones which aren't clips, but then you need to make sure that the mounting point is on a specific one that bends the right way. It's just a lot easier with the eyelets. So again, we'll have the 2 on the roll cage. These are not done properly, so get out the comments. We will have the driver's side one will go into here. The one for this side, you can see I've got a really long bolt there. I may take this bolt out and replace that and sandwich it on the bottom, or I may just put in another plate under here and go down somewhere like that. And then for these 2 under here, which just for fitting I just clipped onto there, we will be, I can't fit my hand in, drilling a hole probably about there, and again sandwiching them. So for these ones, I think from memory it needs to be backwards to no more than 20 degrees, and these 2 bits about 4 inches apart, whatever that is in metric. These need to be like that. You can tell by the angle of this, not like this. I think that is acceptable, that is preferred. And then if I just put some straight on these, you can see that these are a negative degree. I actually had to raise the seat up a little, all the way, to make sure that this was the right angle. For installing these on the harness bar, which is built into my roll cage, do not put them on these things unless it is a properly rated bar, which this one is not. You can get them, but they're very rare. And even when you do find one, make sure it is one that actually bolts into the chassis somewhere. Like this is probably not strong enough. These ones would be if it was manufactured here to attach to this. Do not get ones that attach onto the top here, because this is a rubber mount, and in a crash it is going to rip this off. And then in a 6-point harness you've just lost 1/3 of your restraint. In a 4-point you've lost half, and you're going through the windscreen. So make sure it is attached to somewhere proper. And then there is various ways to do this, depending on what sort of buckle you have here. Some are 2 slot, some are 3 slot, but the general gist is you go around the bar, back through it a few times and back over to lock it. So what I have done here is it comes under the bar, round the bar, back through the bar to go through it twice. Ideally it would go 3 times, but on these particular belts the ends are folded over and stitched, and I don't really want to undo the stitching to make this thin enough to go back through this bar. So I've just kept the tail long, but the general point is it needs to go back through this buckle, and you need to have a good length of tail on here, and this buckle should be as close to this bar as possible. Again, in the Blue Book regulations there should be something to stop this sliding around, because in theory it can change the length, but for my use that's fine. Now to do the other one. So bolts, so this is a metric one. This is M10 by 1.5, and again local guidance, for I believe FIA approval they need to be 8.8 stamped. Again, if you're not going to be racing and have proper scrutineering, you probably don't need the bolts that have it stamped on it, as long as they are actually the rated strength. But these ones do, because if there's one thing you shouldn't cheap out on, it's the bits that are holding you in your car when it crashes. And then these are the plates that go underneath. So this goes on the underside of your car, then this would bolt through from the top. Can't do this one-handed. There we go. Voila. Tighten that all up, job's a good one. And for marking these positions, I was going to mark it so I could work out where it was, but it's actually, if I look straight down through this hole, it's the end of this plug. So that will be a nice guide point for me when I take the seat out to go put the plates under here in. Right, so we've now taken the original manufacturer's seatbelt out, so hopefully, and I've not tried this before, so let's hope it works, this will slide nicely in here. Perfect. And then we can clip the harness into that. A bit of extra tighten. Off we go. Don't forget to like the video, and if you've enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel. Once you've done that, make sure you hit the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss any future episodes. If you want to support the channel even more, there is a Patreon, various levels, and they all have different reward tiers, such as YouTube credits and even having your name or logo written on the car. Lastly, there is a merch store where you can pick up some cool CrewTube or Project Twingo merch. There's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's all sorts, all colours. Link in the description below for all these. Right, now we've got this off, we can see this marker we had before. So we'll probably put one in this nice flat area there, and another one about there. And obviously when you're drilling things in the floor, just check that there is nothing actually on the other side, like a fuel line. That might be a bit close to that. But yeah, just double check. So we drilled a little pilot hole in there, and let's check underneath. It comes out there. So yeah, this other one is going to be smack bang where those lines are, which will be fun. So we might move these out of the way first, I think would be safe, and then we'll give it a go. Well, as you can see, it was a good job we did that, because that was going to come out right on those fuel lines. Right, so these are now all drilled out to the right size. Check these fit in, which they do. And important, because this is on the underside of the car, I've now exposed fresh metal, so we need to just give it a hit of something to make sure that none of that's open and rusts out right where you don't want it to rust. Alright, so we have one in, and there's the plate, there's the other plate. So yeah, I'm just going to do that on the far side, which is slightly too far to reach by hand. So I don't have any spare pair of arms with me today, so this gap from the edge here underneath is just a bit too far to be able to lie underneath, hold the plate up and put this in like I did for this one. But as you can see, I've got the plate underneath. Truly genius. So now I should screw it in easily. Perfect. Alright, so that's both of them in, and I've reclipped the fuel lines back in. I just slightly put them on the other side just to avoid them hitting that and maybe rubbing through. That's both the submarine ones on. So we're a 5-point harness, so we just need to do the equivalent here. So I need to decide whether to take this one out, see whether the plate can go on the back, or whether I just put another hole in here. Do as I say, not as I do. I moved these out the way of where I thought it was going to come through, and it actually just clipped the very far edge of it, so now I've cut a hole in my fuel line. Ugh. Definitely not a good sign. We're going to deal with that problem another day. We're going to carry on. Now we've got extra safety precautions here. So that was also in the wrong place. It needs to be a bit further back, which is a doubly bittersweet pill to swallow, because if I had not moved those lines out the way, I wouldn't have hit them. And the hole's in the wrong place anyway, and if I'd done it in the right place, I wouldn't have hit them. Right, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 points in. Time to get the chair back in. Right, we're all roughly clipped in. Well, we are clipped in properly. This is almost certainly not going to fit on the first try, but let's give it a go. Already gone wrong. Sat on the thing. It's the wrong way around. That feels like that's a bit too low. That's not long enough. Right, can't get that to actually fit. What about shoulder jobs? Right, we're a bit lopsided. Can't get the left side in at all. But that's... if the other side was there, that's pretty good. Right, so how do we adjust this? it's out of this side because it's further back than the other one. Or maybe I can... It might be on here. Oh, it's not right, but it's pretty close, so I am well and truly, like, my body could maybe have the shoulder straps a little tighter. Sort out the important parts so they don't get crushed. Yeah, that'll do for now. Right, if I get myself buckled back in again, I just adjusted it a little. And this is another really important safety consideration, is you should never have a harness of any type if you don't have a cage. You think, oh, it's safer, your body's not going anywhere, and that's the problem. So if you roll your car over, your roof is probably going to sag a little, and with this you don't go anywhere. So if the roof comes down, you bend your neck. That's why you need a cage to stop the roof coming down. Yes, this is not a full cage, so the front could come down a little, but it's still going to be held up by that to the strongest point, which is above head height. In a road car we have a 3.1. I've taken mine off. I meant to film this before I did this. If there's a rollover, you can slide down, whereas this I'm held in place. But for the purposes of this, everyone knows that normal seatbelts, they have a bit of a slack first before the retainer kicks in. So with a normal seatbelt, if I just take this off for exaggeration, I would be able to go like this, or I'd be crushed like that, and that's a better scenario without a cage than with a harness. So yeah, don't put one of these in if you don't have the appropriate safety equipment. Just to remind me of my idiocy and to stop me from turning it on and squirting fuel everywhere, warning message for myself, something to go over the keys. And then I have just disconnected the fuel line from the fuel pump, just to drain out that fuel that's in there. So that should stop dripping in a bit. And I guess that's the next video. Yeah, so we're going to try and repair it with one of these and two of them. Idea is we'll just cut the bad bit out, jam one of these in, clip it on. Job's a good one. Right, that's on. I can't get this side any further on, but this is all tightened up. So now we try it. Seems to be okay. Fixed. Okay, so with a great deal of fighting I have actually got these back around here, so they go through this loop 3 times, which is the correct way of doing it. You can see there. Round, through, back round, back under. That was a real pain. I could just about jam the end through one of those and then just grab hold of it with my little crimpy pliers with a bit of cloth on there, just stop ripping it, and pull it through. So these are now properly on, and then these, just let these flap around.